Hey guys, it is Alex and Danielle. We are back for Rise and Grind podcast for episode number 25. Wow, we hit a quarter of 100. That's crazy. I can't believe it's been 25. But we are coming to big week this week, tournament week for Division 1. So we are going to be kind of diving into things that we're looking forward to, highlights that we've seen, and kind of like the matchups. I have like matchups that I'm hoping to see in some of these tournaments. And I think just overall what these tournaments mean for some of these teams and how important it is. So that's going to be the gist of today and just catching up on all the things. And we have a special guest starting off with us today.
Little cuddle by my man Rip.
Yeah.
Yep. Little puppy cuddles. I know. 25 episodes. Slow and steady. The college softball season was harder to do these than I thought it was, with just the calls and the work schedules and not a lot of time during the week when you think you have time to do stuff. So I'm glad we could at least kind of try to do an every other. It makes sense with conference tournaments starting tomorrow in the SEC.
They start tomorrow?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. Oh yeah, they're starting tomorrow. Look at that.
Yeah.
The first round. So how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, a lot of teams got to buy.
Yeah.
Do they take everybody for the SEC?
Everyone for the SEC.
That explains it.
But I mean, and what a gauntlet. Number one, how hard that conference is.
Right.
And then to not get a bye, tough, right? Like there's so many things I feel like you have to consider, because as much as you want to win these simply because you want to give yourself the best kind of chance on Selection Show Sunday and, strength of schedule, all the things. Gosh, if you don't get that bye, you can't throw your ace every day and then roll right into a regional the next week.
Not with 5 full days of softball in a row.
Yeah.
That's beyond. I didn't realize the SEC kept everybody for the tournament. A lot of the conferences will do like top 6 teams, top 8 teams. They keep it like short and sweet. But like the importance of the conference tournament is that it's an automatic bid. And I think a lot of teams who are on that like kind of edge of like RPI and they're not quite sure if they're going to make it to Selection Show Sunday, or like, okay, we have to, like, it's do or die at this point to win this tournament. And tournaments are not easy to win. Conference tournaments are almost designed to make you fail, I feel like.
Yeah.
There's certain like structures in it, not structures, like certain teams will do better in a tournament setting, right? Because of the way that their defense is structured, or the pitching staff that they have on rotation. So sometimes it'll work better in their favor for a tournament style, but I think so many coaches are more focused on the long game that like the tournament doesn't ever really cross their mind until now.
I mean, I didn't grow up having a tournament, so I was always jealous of the teams that did have it, because I was like, dang, that'd be so cool. Like we always had a bye weekend before it was like time for a Selection Show Sunday, or like we set up some series, or it was a Pac-10 back in the day series, but not ever the conference tournament. And then now that I see it and look at it, I'm like, oh boy, if playing in the SEC or the Big 12 or ACC or Big 10 isn't enough, then you go and you have to go in this tournament type format, and hopefully you're fortunate enough to get a day or two by. And you also have to hope that maybe the team that you end up getting matched up against, it's a good matchup for where your team's at. And then a little bit of luck too, because, there's always some things that potentially work in your favor. But I will say, like, now it's kind of the more of a mentality of like a clean slate, like a fresh start, right?
Yep.
There's definitely some teams going into these conference tournaments that know that if they don't win, then their chances of going into the postseason aren't going to happen. Like a team I look at the SEC tournament, like Missouri, they're not above 500, and they got to make a run at this thing. So it's just that is a different type of pressure. But you're right. When I think about the SEC tournament, I think of like last year with Florida and the run that they had with Skylar Wallace, and then Keegan Rothrock, the freshman, that then they make their run through OKC and force Oklahoma to that game too.
Right.
In OKC last year, which was cool. So teams can really go on a run by how they perform in these types of tournaments too. So it just, a lot of things kind of have to go in your favor.
Yeah, it's almost like that postseason switch kind of has to go off a little bit early. Like Selection Sunday is really, it's not traumatizing, but it is very stressful for a lot, like as it should be. It's kind of made to be that way, but it's like your entire season culminates up to this one decision. And so I think, you know, there's goods and bads to like the way that you didn't have a tournament. So like, did you get that last opportunity to really show the committee, like, hey, we deserve to be in the postseason? Because Washington, when you were there, was like just up and coming. Like it was like a newer thing, right? So for us, it was like, if we didn't win the tournament, there was no way we were going, because we weren't seen as a competitor in that way. So I think it also, you know, it could be the double-edged sword where it's like, it could convince them that you deserve postseason, but the tournament could also do the exact opposite. And so I think that's what a lot of teams have to be wary of this week.
Yeah. There's so much more that goes into it now than there ever did when we played, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Strength of schedule, your RPI. Like, if you don't make your preseason tournament weeks wicked challenging and matchups, like you'll see some teams just set up 3-game series against teams and not necessarily the tournament type stuff. Like they will just play a team 3 times if it's someone that you know playing them is going to benefit you, right? Like that, I think, is the number one focus for a lot of coaches, especially in a tough conference anyways. Like we have to be able to at least know preseason that we did our job in playing some tough teams, but you also want to stay above 500 and put yourself in a little bit of like a role heading into conference play, so you don't already feel defeated before you get into the gauntlet of what that feels like week in and week out. So
yeah,
you know, it's a grind. This game, the college game right now, is so hard, right? It is just every weekend it's challenging. It is the most open that it's ever felt like, in my opinion. Like shit, you can get a team on a roll and just go. Like it could happen, right? Like to me, the statement of this last weekend was Florida winning the series against Oklahoma at home.
That was
and I
huge.
only say that because Keegan Rothrock had been down for a good chunk of the year. And then she came back and it looked like she really was struggling. And then now it's finally like, okay, Florida looks like pitching starting to be a little bit more sound. Rothrock's throwing better. She has good pieces in Caitlin Oxley and Ava Brown that can fit in when need be. And offensively, they're rolling. So it's like that can be scary when you get those teams that start to roll at the right time. Those are the teams I do not want to face until I get to Oklahoma City, right?
Right. You don't want them to peak. You don't want to peak too soon.
No.
And that happens a lot in the game today. I feel like because there's so many potential number ones, there's so many potential people that could just go up and snag it. It's like you really want to peak as a team at the right moment so that you can roll with that success and everybody's at the top of their game. Everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing and just, you know, crushing it. So yeah, I think that was a huge statement this weekend with Florida taking that series, and they're coming in at the 6th seed. So they get 1 bye.
Yeah.
And they'll play the winner of the Ole Miss Missouri matchup. But Georgia's hosting it. So
which I do think is super dope since they built that brand new, I think it's for $30 million, like to showcase that. What a cool thing. Georgia may not be the Georgia Bulldogs team that we've seen in the past. You know, they're young, but still getting the chance to have this tournament in your ballpark, like, is a pretty cool thing, especially after, like, I mean, I was hoping to get to see it this year, but I haven't, but seen it on social media. Pretty.
You've seen it from afar. Yeah.
From afar.
And who do you think is going to be the underdog in that tournament?
Gosh. Well,
that Mississippi State LSU matchup, game 1 for them, not for everybody, but I feel like that's going to be a good game. Mississippi State's on a roll right now.
Oh, and it depends on what LSU team you're going to get. Like, LSU has been so hot and cold. Like,
Yeah.
you get the series they had against Florida earlier on. Great. They won that series. And then you look at the series they just played against Arkansas. They just didn't look like themselves.
Yeah.
So the inconsistency scares me a little bit, right? Like, have Sydney Berzon, who is the ace, who's the leader, hot and cold a little bit, which can't happen.
Right. From the ace. No. Yeah.
Yeah. Like in Heavner, and she's a damn good lefty and a freshman, but you don't sometimes know what you're going to get. So yes, I think that game is one that I have circled where I'm like, damn, like that one's a good one. Mississippi State's so good, right? Like they got two of the hits in the AUSL with Raylan Chafin and Sacco. And I love that. I love Sam Ricketts. I always think the product that they put out on the field is just fierce. You know, they go, shit, let's rally, dude. Like that's always what that team is about. They did it, 2 or 3 years ago at Florida State. Like,
yep.
That to me is a big deal, that you go into Florida State's house, you beat them in a regional, and then they go on, and Arizona actually came to them for supers, and Arizona, that was the year that they, beat Mississippi State and went to OKC, which was actually Caitlin Lowe's first year as head
coach. Right. Yep.
And that was a big deal. But gosh, okay, my like dark horse, I got to go with Arkansas. After seeing calling the Arkansas Texas A&M,
yeah,
I like Arkansas. I think that like their lineup 1 through 9 is fierce. They have some youth. They're scrappy. They put pressure on the defense. I mean, if Brie Ellis is not a top 3 candidate for National Player of the Year, I don't know somebody that's put up those types of numbers.
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially
in the SEC. Yep.
Incredible. So, yeah. And she's getting pitched at times around and still doing that. So she's patient enough to be able to know, hey, I got to take pitches, but then she's able to just like hammer down on a pitch that she gets in her wheelhouse. So Arkansas is a dark horse for me. I think that they could do some damage because, they've relied on Robin Herron a little bit, but I do think that they have some solid arms that would be able to help take them through this tournament type format. So what about you?
Mississippi State. Yeah. And I think we've talked about it before. It's like when you listen to those women talk about their team and what they've persevered through, and like how they have the girls that have been there all 4 years. They're not all transfers. Nothing against the transfers. We've talked about this before, but I think it speaks volumes about a program that can retain those athletes, that has kept them and has tried to build some type of a legacy, some type of something. So I think that I just have a really good feeling about them this year. I don't know what it is. But it's going to be this is going to be a tough tournament for sure.
Oklahoma's the clear-cut winner of the SEC, right?
Yeah.
And we know that, but at times there was some series they dropped that I didn't think they were going to. They lost that series to Alabama. I think this last weekend, losing to Florida. Like, who knows what version of them you're going to get either coming off of, losing in Gainesville. Are you going to get a fierce Oklahoma that's like, all right, postseason OU, let's go. But also, besides Sam Landry, I don't know that they have depth in the circle.
Right. You've talked about that before too.
That's the full-on question mark, but that's also the question mark for a lot of teams. So if you don't have a legit
second
number
ace.
2,
it's a second ace. It's not even a number 2 anymore, I feel like.
I say the same thing right now with Texas. Like, since Texas got swept by Oklahoma at Oklahoma, Texas has kind of been a shell of themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like Tegan Cavan did not look like herself in that rivalry series, SEC series, you want to call it, but it's the true-on rivalry of those two teams. She did not look like herself. But it makes you question, like, who's the number 2? They've wanted Mac Morgan to be the number 2 all year. He said she's the number 2. She didn't pitch like the number 2. And then it's like Citlali Gutierrez. Like, so to me, the biggest thing is like, who's going to step up in the circle for a lot of these teams to be able to be that person that the team can lean on when maybe the ace isn't ultimately the one that can just get it done. That really, to me, will be what stands out. Because you look at some of these teams, you're like, oh, you could easily win it. Tennessee, Carlin Pickens, 78 miles an hour. She's one of the best. But under pressure, sometimes Tennessee doesn't tend to win the games that they should. They just lost 2 or 3 to Texas A&M, and they got run ruled. I didn't love that for Tennessee. You know what I mean? And then
We've talked about the high run games. There's been a lot of high scoring games this year, and it speaks to the pitching, and it speaks to, obviously we've talked about the hitting and how that's in a different position, but like when it comes down to the pitching, now that we're in these tournaments, you can't miss. Yeah. You can't falter. You can't let it get to you. You can't hang on to things. Like, you have to be on every single pitch, and you have to step into whatever your role is going to be. So if it's the ace, if it's that number one, you have to be ready to bear that burden. But then if you're the number 2, you need to be prepared to step in whatever situation it has to be in, bases loaded, no outs type of thing. And it's true. I haven't seen a whole lot of pitching that has just been lights out, like consistent. Yeah. Long term.
Harder to be a pitcher now more than ever, for sure.
Yeah.
So this tournament's always so fun. It's almost like a mini Women's College World Series. The studio team that they have, I know Courtney and Lyle, my partner for regionals and super, she's going to be doing the studio with Tori Vidalis and Haley McClinney. And then I think Courtney Lyle is switching off with Alyssa Lang. And then obviously you got the World Series crew. You got Beth and Michelle and Jess, and then you got Amanda Scarborough and Kevin Brown. So just kind of gives you that little lead up feel to what OKC is like. But yeah, it's a dogfight. Whether or not you're willing to put your team through the ringer, and then you roll right into a regional. If you aren't desperate to figure out exactly where you want to be, like, oh, I need to win this because we want to be the number 1 seed, I'm treading carefully because I want to just make sure I keep my team in a place of like mental confidence, and body and physical strength and all, because like everyone starts to get to that place where you can maybe get a little bit more life because you're like, oh, conference is ended now, it's a new slate and it's time to move forward. So just kind of picking and choosing how those
your battles.
Oh yeah.
It's not a bad strategy.
All right, let's shift and let's take a peek at ACC stuff.
That, can I just say, I watched the 3rd game of Virginia Tech and Florida State. My goodness.
Yeah. I think I had that one on earlier. That was where Florida State came back.
I think so. I didn't watch the end of it, but just the middle of it. I feel like it was such a dogfight.
There was, I want to say that Virginia Tech was up 6-0 or 7-0, and then all of a sudden I was watching earlier and the score was like 7-6.
Yeah, it was definitely a back and forth. There was an amazing play made by the Florida State shortstop, and I can't think of her name right now. I apologize, but it was an amazing play where she like dove across and like held onto the ball and like slid her foot. It was way wicked cool. I don't even know if it made the ESPN top 10. Should have, but I think it's still weird for me to see Cal and Stanford on this tournament bracket.
Yeah.
But I think they held their own a little bit this season. I think they were like the odd men out.
Yeah.
Because, they're the West Coast coming to the East Coast.
Yeah.
The thing about people who are used to playing in California, they're not used to playing anywhere else.
Yeah.
They go somewhere else and it really throws them. So I feel like they held their own. They ended up in the middle of the pack, both of them. And I think that is a testament to their adaptability and their ability to like just step up to the plate and like play their game instead of being so worried about being overwhelmed by the Florida States, the Clemsons, the Virginia Techs. So I thought that was cool, but they don't start till Wednesday.
They start Wednesday. SEC is the only tournament that starts Tuesday because there's just so many damn teams.
Yeah.
This one, I mean, obviously you look at Florida State and they're kind of a front runner. They have a lot of different arms that Lonnie uses well offensively. I feel like that team is besides the fact that they lost Kennedy Harp, which sucks because she was so friggin' good.
Yeah.
She hurt herself in the Louisville series, and they had posted it on social media today. So she's out for the rest of the season. That hurts. But I mean, as an offense, they're scary. So to me, they're the number one team for a reason in this. And then they just beat Virginia Tech this last weekend. And when you think of like Virginia Tech and Emma Lemley, and you're like, okay, that was like definitely a statement.
They hit them.
Yeah. That's tough to do. As you know.
Yes. And Issa Leone, I mean, she is just such a beast.
Yeah.
Like, it is so fun to watch her hit because it's like she can do all the things. Like, she can keep it short. She can, and you've said, I think we said this in the very beginning. When you go through a lineup like Florida State, you're just trying to cause the least amount of damage. You know there's going to be damage, so you're just trying to keep it like as condensed as possible. So that'll be key for any of these other ACC teams if they're trying to pull this out of left field.
Clemson has been really impressive this year. They've won some big games. I love, they're the number 2 seed. They're scrappy. I think Duke, after kind of seeing the role that they did, and we had Cassidy Kurt on the podcast, I think they've at times struggled and lost some games maybe that you wouldn't expect them to.
Right. But
new season, new team, and they're a team that's going to make the postseason, right? So like that's when you need to have the like switch it up mentality of like, yeah, this ACC tournament's a really great opportunity for us to like showcase what we're all about, but it's not that we're not going to get in the tournament. It's to close the chapters of like what preseason and then conference, and now it's the mentality of how have we grown, what have we learned, and how are we moving in the right direction to go and get ready for obviously this, but then Selection Show Sunday and regionals. Like making the tournament's huge and seeing your name up there, but really trying to keep it one game at a time. That's so hard. I was really bad at that, but because I always overlooked. I'd see our name go up on there and be like, oh, okay, shit, we play this team, and then if we win that team, and then if that team were to win their regional, that's who we match up. And I just went down.
Spiraled. You let the intrusive thoughts win.
Always. I like to get sick on Selection Show Sunday. I don't get sick now because obviously I don't play, but I still feel like the nerves for those athletes. It's such an uncontrollable, and it can completely go sideways. Like, and you have no control over that. That's so you can get like shit. You can have maybe Texas Tech go as a 16 seed, or you can maybe have a Texas Tech not even get seeded and have to go driving distance to an Oklahoma or a potential Texas.
Right. After they win.
Yeah. The Big 12. After they win. I think
they win the Big 12. Yeah.
If Texas Tech wins the Big 12, there's no way they're not hosting a regional. But I'm saying, so it's like, imagine being one of those teams and like getting like Nyjah in your regional. Oh boy. But anyway,
where's the white flag? Yeah, exactly.
Back to this. I mean, to me, Florida State is the team to win it, looking at kind of their road to where they want to go. But I love the ACC, and I always am like all for them making a hefty push to like go far, make it to the Women's College World. Like, like I loved watching Duke make it last year for the first time.
Yeah.
And that whole road and everything to get there, and Coach Marissa Young and her husband and everything that he was going through, and it was incredible that team was able to like have her back the way they did. And that super regional against Missouri where they went to a game 3, and you're just like, oh God, and not to mention the cicadas were out. People were just getting doinked in the head while they were like hitting. It was hilarious. But anything can happen. I think that this is taking place at my husband's alma mater, Boston.
I was just gonna say it's out at Boston. It's at Boston this year. It's gonna be cold. They were talking about that during the series, that it's gonna be like 40 degrees.
Oh my God.
At night. I was like, ooh. It looks like they're playing a lot of the games during the day, but
thanks.
It changes things, right? It changes how the pitchers have to stay warm. It changes the bats. It changes all the things. So
Virginia
environment matters.
Got the old 7:30 p.m. game. That's just hoping all the games align at the right time. You could start that game at 9 or 10 at night.
Which that never happens. Yeah. I do appreciate that the SEC just says 35 minutes following the previous game.
That should be the standard for all of them.
It should be like, it's like, let's be straight about this, guys. It's never going to only take 2 hours or less. It's never going to start on time. So we'll just say 30 minutes after the game before.
All right. Next up, Big 12.
Yep.
I am flying to Oklahoma on Thursday, and we'll be doing the championship with Maddie Ship in the 3-man booth. First time.
Woohoo.
Whoa. Stoked because obviously Maddie's the cheese, and we've done studio together, and we have so much fun. And then Eric Freed, he's hilarious. So I always think the goal when you call games is if you can get someone to press the cough button, like you're winning because they're laughing.
Yeah.
So humor to me is what makes these games so fun. Because if it sounds like you're hanging with your friend and you're on the couch and you're just chilling and talking the game, you're like, all right, this is what it's supposed to be, you know?
Just like shooting shit. Yeah, exactly.
So this one's tough because I'm only getting one game out of all of these, and I've had some of these, but I'm like, I can't prepare for every single one of these teams because that would take longer than a week.
Yes.
So I'm trying to like kind of figure out potential matchups and what I think will happen. This actually starts on Wednesday. Kat Osterman's going to be doing all these ESPN Plus games. But I mean, Baylor, Kansas, UCF, Utah, BYU, Houston. Obviously, I think UCF is so scrappy. Every single year, Coach Cindy Malone and what she puts out on that field is they're just kind of more scrappy than most. Utah's really been struggling this year. You know, looking at a couple of years ago, they made it to a super regional, and then I look at where they're at right now, and I'm just like, dang it. Didn't like that. I had BYU this last weekend against Texas Tech, and they'll be facing Houston. BYU can swing it. Pitching, they got to put the puzzle pieces in the right spot with health and bodies. But man, I mean, they're freshman. I think you pronounce. I know her last name. It's Brittingham, but I think it's I don't want to say it because I don't want to botch it. Ilova. No, that's not right. But Brittingham, she had her 20th home run of the season. She had 2 home runs off of Nyjah over the course of the weekend, which was a big deal.
Yeah.
So BYU's a team that really talked a lot about like not making the postseason last year, wanting that so bad for this team. I mean, watching a 9-pitch at bat by the catcher, Lindy Milikowski, and she hits a 2-run shot for them to go ahead in game 2 to force it to a rubber match was pretty cool while I'm drinking my swig. You know, can't complain. Cannot complain.
I'm just going to call you a Mormon wife now.
And then I look at, the Thursday matchup, Oklahoma State, Arizona State. That's tough, right?
Right off the bat. Yep.
Right off the bat, Oklahoma State's number 4, Arizona State's number 5. Like they're very evenly matched, especially in their series of what they've done over the course of the Big 12. They're pretty similar with teams they've won against and teams they haven't. So to me, it comes down to pitching. Who's going to be money? How's that going to work? Obviously, we know you need to be able to be clutch when it comes to the hitting department, but everything's set in the circle as far as the tone for how you want your team to go. But I also think for Oklahoma State, you can't just ride Ruby. And I do think Crandall has been her healthiest version of herself. So I think that maybe puts them in a little bit of a better spot if she's able to go. And then Texas Tech, and they'll play the winner of that Baylor-Kansas game. I got to go with Texas Tech. Listen, like this is kind of one of those situations where, Texas Tech wins this, you're for sure solidified, maybe even a top 12 seed. Yeah. I don't want to be the 16 because the 16 has got to play the 1, but you can't think of it that way.
I wouldn't know what that's like. I don't know what that is.
That's my like psychotic brain being like, if I'm the 16th seed, I'm gonna have to play the number 1 seed in super regionals, and I don't.
But hey, once every decade, that 16 seed beats the number 1.
True that. You know that.
I do. I think it'll end up being Texas Tech.
You think
that you think
Texas Tech will beat If Oklahoma State comes out, you think
Of
that
Arizona. I think Texas Tech will take Oklahoma State.
all right.
I do. But I think it's a toss-up for me between UCF and BYU. I think UCF on a day where they're on and feeling scrappy like they get in tournaments, I feel like I could see them pulling it out over Arizona.
Yeah. And pitching wise, I feel like Amina Vega has been really good for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you. I think UCF scrappy as ever. And they tend to kind of always have that chip on their shoulder mentality, which I appreciate. So that one, that's going to be a doozy. I like that.
I'm rooting for a Texas Tech final versus UCF or BYU. I think will give them the best final.
Dang.
Yeah. I think that would be like, it's just because BYU does the same thing too in postseason and in like those moments where it's like you don't know, like you don't think that they're going to pull it off, they pull it off somehow. Those two teams I think are super scrappy, and I think them going up against Nyjah in the championship, I think would give the most postseason feel possible.
But I'm also over here, like, I don't think Texas Tech is going to make it to the final because I don't think that, like, you throw Nyjah 3 games. And I know they haven't two, like, they have, Riazetto, but like a lot of these teams, you kind of got your one arm and you hope that you can get a little bit with your number 2.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, do I throw Nyjah 3 games in a Big 12 tournament and then all of a sudden we roll into a regional and she's got to throw Friday, Saturday, Sunday too? Like, you have to have and keep perspective about where her body's at too, because you need Nyjah to win. That's just that's the truth. You do. Like, that team needs Nyjah to, like, I've called 2 of their rubber matches, one against Arizona and one against BYU. And I mean, the Arizona game, she was nails. And the BYU game, I mean, she gave up 1 run. Like, she's going to give up runs. To me, Texas Tech doesn't score her enough runs.
Right.
And that's the issue. Like, Nyjah can hold, not scoring 5 or 6 runs off of Nyjah unless she's literally like throwing from the her left side.
Her left arm. Yeah.
She's not someone that gives up that many runs. You will hit a bomb off her. You will maybe score 2 or 3 runs, but I don't think you're going to score 5 or 6 runs. Texas Tech needs to do a better job of scoring more runs for her. And you can tell they feel more pressure to have to do that and don't. When other pitchers throw, they put up a lot more runs because they know they need to in order to win because Nyjah's not throwing. It's like this weird twisted game.
Yeah.
Well,
and Nyjah's like your favorite of all time.
I think it's hard to have it under a 1 ERA with how good hitting is. It's hard to do.
Yeah, it's a respect thing for sure. Yeah,
she's just so level-headed. And Iowa State's they're the 3 seed, and I think that's sick. Like,
yeah,
they've had a hell of a Big 12. They've really pushed some teams, and they could go and make a run in this thing too. Let's go. I wouldn't mind seeing that. So.
We love an underdog. Yeah.
I love an underdog. So all these tournaments, we kind of have our ideas of who we think are going to win. But at the end of the day, I mean, you look at Oklahoma State last year, they lost game 1.
Yeah.
3 years ago, they beat Oklahoma for the first time ever in a Big 12 tournament. Like, it's just so random. And that was when Mike White did the finger for Texas. You remember? You see that final?
I just remember
the bird.
The ball in the face with what was her name? She was one of the Oregon transfers that came with Mike White.
Miranda Ellis?
Yeah,
that was bad. That was at Alabama.
I think so, but it was her own catcher. That was the worst part. I can't even imagine.
Popo, yeah, that was tough.
And like as a pitcher, like we know it wasn't intentional. Obviously, it was a freak accident, but like. As a pitcher, you're partially just like, what the fuck?
Nothing like, Alex Gomez dropping a womp womp.
Yeah.
Pitchers now. not only coming from the bat, coming from the pitch, the freaking catcher.
I know. I've seen Kai Parnaby. Okay, so this happened. I'm totally going off topic here, but she threw a changeup to Kanani Pu'u Warren, who laced it back at her face, fractured her entire side of her face, eyes swollen shut, like all the things. Because this was before face masks. We didn't have face masks. Would you have worn one?
I'm gonna say now I would. Back in the day, no, I did not.
Yeah.
And I was okay. When I came back out of retirement, I thought about it. But no. But would I have my kids wear one? Hell yeah, I would. I don't think it should be a rule. I think that pitchers, if you want to wear one, wear one. I don't think you should be forced into it, but I think what's the risk? You might as well like protect yourself with how the bats.
It's different. It's definitely different now than it was, I think.
Different.
I don't quite understand outfielders wearing them. I've seen that too in like Little League. I'm like,
Maddie had it freaking on the other day in the outfield for the league, and I'm sitting there in the stands on
she
the iPad, and I look up and I said, "Yo, dog, are you serious?" And she takes it off and she throws it, and I'm like, "Exactly." I'm fine for her to wear it at second base, and when she pitches right now, because some of these fields we play on, terrible hops.
They're really bad, yeah.
But you don't tend to see a whole lot of anyone other than the pitcher wearing the face mask at the collegiate level. But like I said, people are going to do what they want to do. People do what you want. I'm just saying, I think it looks silly if you're playing second base in college and you have it and it's not because of a broken bone or something like that, you know?
There's no reason behind it, yeah. I can understand first and third specifically, and pitching, obviously. But anybody other than that, I'm like, if your reflexes aren't fast at those positions, like that, the whole physics of it all, I'm like, no outfielder. And I've seen it in Little League only. I haven't seen it in college, but I was just curious what you thought about that because it is something I've seen a lot of when we're at the ballpark. I'm like, what? But nobody in baseball wearing one.
Oh, I know. Different. More time to get the ball, but meaning like it's not as close, but it's still, I mean, the ball's smaller, the exit velo off the bat, it's coming in hot.
You see it in the MLB all the time, like these guys going down. I mean, we've seen it in college too, but
some of the pitchers.
Those are some ugly videos sometimes.
And it's on slow-mo. It's just like,
yeah. You just like watching it crash and burn.
Okay, we're going down a rabbit hole. Thank you, Gomez.
We always have to like bring it into like real life.
Last one, we're just going to briefly talk about, and then I know you want to bring up another one, but just Big Ten tournament. I feel like I have not seen a whole lot of Big Ten teams this year because I don't have Big Ten Plus, and I have not had access to a lot of those games. I've watched a couple.
We should have bought one together.
Gosh, I mean, I've watched a couple on FS1. I watched UCLA, Washington on FS1. But, you know, Oregon won the Big Ten outright. And I kind of feel like Nebraska's going to go on a run here.
Yep. They're definitely, you can see them starting to like build up to it, I feel like.
I would love it if Nebraska made a heavy push. I would love it if Nebraska plays Oklahoma in a super regional. I mean,
it would be, you couldn't write a better rom-com than that face-off in a super regional. That would be so cool. We're just going to put it on to the softball gods that like that's how we would like this to end up. That would be great. So committee, please.
Yeah.
Make it all happen.
2 weeks ago, I went to, that was the weekend I was supposed to travel, but didn't because my partner was sick. And I called the house Sunday, and then I was able to go to the Washington-Nebraska game on Sunday at UW. Getting to watch Jordy ball in person after they got run ruled on Saturday. Washington run ruled them. Jordy did not pitch. But seeing her in person is different. Like, she's a hell of a two-way player that did not get to be a two-way player at Oklahoma because, you know, she got kind of pushed to the side in the offensive department because of how good OU is offensively. She's got a couple of hats, but so for her to be that leadoff hitter for them and do what she's been able to do and the power and the speed, girlfriend's an athlete. It's impressive. She's a because there's not a whole lot of hitting pitchers that do it to that extent. Like Nija's been hitting a little bit, but I'm talking like Jordy Ball she's got these fast twitch muscles. She's
built different. Like you can just see the way that she moves. Yeah, it's definitely different.
And she was throwing hard at UW. Like from the stands, I'm like, bro, they don't have the velo, but she looks like she was probably throwing 70 to 72 with conviction. Like UW didn't even know what the hell to swing at. She could just tunnel it so good from the up to the down, up to down. Like it was nuts. I loved getting to see it. So to me in this, I'm going to put Nebraska as a front runner.
I'd like to see that.
I love my Pac-12 teams. I want to root for the Huskies, but I don't think they're going to win this. UCLA could go on a tear. Obviously, pitching wise, they have some depth. I think that's key, and they're a little young, but they also have some vets. So UCLA could go, and so could Oregon. Like they very well could. Ohio State's a team that I don't really want to match up with. Coach Kumar, or 2K, is her nickname, and she came from Miami of Ohio last year. That like was on that run with all the home runs. I do not know off the top of my head, but I'm going to look it up right now. What she's been able to do since she's got the job at Ohio State is dope.
Yeah.
Like she's just an absolute like boss. I love where she's at, but I'm also sitting here like, dang, for her to come in and make that big of an impact on a team offensively.
That quickly. Yeah.
Okay, home runs. Let's see. They lead the nation in home runs with 134. Yeah. Do you remember when Hawaii went on that tear with the home runs?
No, not at all.
How many did you guys have that year? You remember?
159. We held it up until Oklahoma broke it a couple years ago.
Yeah, they broke it a couple years ago.
I hit 13 of them.
Woo!
I know. And 2 of them were in the World Series.
Wow.
Yeah. But that was the year we were averaging 6 or 8 runs a game. Dang. That year. It was nuts. And that was where everybody's like, oh, everybody go check their bats.
Yeah, for real. I remember too. Were they the Nike bats?
No, we had Easton.
Yeah,
it was just what were they? White with purple. I need to find mine. I don't even know where it is. But anyways, 134 is very impressive because I think we were at like between 150 and 160 was the record. And then when OU broke it, I don't remember what it was.
I feel like they like were 160 or something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, for that coach to come in her first year and do that is insane. She's whatever home run juju mechanical things, it's incredible. So I'm a fan of that. Obviously it sucks for pitchers, but they don't miss pitches. That's for damn sure. So Ohio State's a team that like, I don't love. So like Oregon plays the winner of Wisconsin, Michigan, and then they would line up with Ohio State, and Ohio State could go on a tear.
Yeah. They could.
So, yeah, those are kind of my, Nebraska's my front runner. I've got to root for the Pac. Hope UCLA, Oregon put up some good numbers, but then I'm also like Ohio State could go and do the damn thing too. So
I think that's one of the bigger toss-ups, that tournament, because there's so many teams that could like pull it out.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, even though, Oregon took the regular season. I think it's harder to say like who will end up in that championship game. We got so much softball to watch these couple of days.
I love that it starts tomorrow because
I know
I sit and prep and do stuff and have softball on. So that's great. Great for me.
I put it on while I work out. It makes it easier.
Yeah.
Boom.
Nice. What else? Anything else?
I don't think so. It's about to get crazy. For you specifically. You're going to be all over the place, back and forth across the U.S. And we've got the Women's College World Series at the end of this month, which is wild.
No, I know. so open. It's so open, and I love that so much.
And hopefully we'll get to see each other in person.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a treat?
That would be a real treat. You're always welcome. Hey, like I said, I think I even get 2 beds in my room.
There you go. We're gonna have a big sleepover. We're gonna watch Dance Moms.
You cannot bring all 4 of your kids.
No, I would never bring the boys. Never in a million years would I bring the boys with me.
If you needed a place to stay, I got you.
I'll let you know for sure. I don't think I know anybody that still lives in Oklahoma City. Who's up there? I don't even know. Kaylani's not there anymore. She's at UOP. Have to figure it out. But I've been trying to catch up with Jocelyn too. Jocelyn Allo lives down here with me in Texas. Yeah. So we're trying to catch up. Maybe we'll carpool.
Yeah. Jocelyn Allo can get whatever she wants. Follow her.
I know. I'm like, hey, let me just hop into your car with you. Plus, we got the Hawaii thing. Yeah. We're family.
We'll be able to finally do this. It's been a hot minute.
It's been a hot minute, and it might be another hot minute, but that's okay. We're gonna cover as much of this stuff as we can as this all plays out. Yeah. We're excited to see where this goes. Selection Sunday is going to be a big deal, and I think next time what we'll do is once we get that bracket, we're gonna dive into it for sure. Those automatic bids are the ones that always throw everything off too. I feel like it really,
or like when you're watching the selection show and then the reaction of teams, like you remember when Washington and then they walked out of the boardroom and they didn't even I kind of like the feistiness. I like the you don't know what you're going to get. If you feel you're getting snubbed, I feel like I'm getting snubbed, and it is what it is.
I feel like that happens to a couple quite a few times. It has happened to them quite a few times for sure. Yeah. And it's always interesting. Always keeps us on our toes, that's for sure.
Well, have a great week.
You too.
And
everybody listening, thank you for tuning in. And we will be back with all the recaps next week, hopefully. And let us know if you have any questions, comments, all the good things.
Boom.